This is day 2 of sewing a quilt in 10 minutes a day. So I took the quilt home or the pieces home and laid them out on a queen size bed, and I'm so excited to report that there are enough blocks to sew together to make a queen size quilt, or a quilt that will fit a queen size bed. So the other thing I did, I mentioned that whoever started the quilt had some of the blocks made and sewn together in larger pieces, and some of them were just still in square blocks like this. So I put these in sections, and I folded them together, so I know that all of these go together in a row, and these go together in a row, and then I'll sew the rows together. And then this is a large piece that just needs some areas filled in with blocks. So let's get started on our 10 minutes and see how far along I get. I'm going to sew this little stack here, and I'm really not overthinking this. I'm just putting the pretty sides together, and you can see whoever was working on this had spent a lot of time hand stitching this quilt, and I almost feel bad, but I'm just going to go ahead and work on this on the sewing machine so that I can get this completed. Because what good is it doing in my workroom in a stack of projects waiting for someday? Someday is today. And so if I can do a little bit here and a little bit there and accomplish the goal of completing this. So once again, on the blocks, I'm putting pretty side to pretty side, or right sides together. You know what, if you're new to sewing, you may not know this. When you have fabric, there's a right side and there's what people call a wrong side. It's just because of the way the fabric is woven or printed. And you can usually tell by looking. There are some fabrics that you can tell by the way it feels, which is the right side and which is the wrong side. Now, when I sew the seam, I do a reverse stitch each time. Well, now, can you believe it? My bobbin ran out of thread. So, you just always try to prepare yourself for anything that might come along to slow your progress. It's kind of like stopping for gas on a long road trip, isn't it? You have to do it to keep going. All right, we're back. I got the bobbin switched out, and here we go again. Now, if you feel like you will have trouble holding these together, you can put a pin or a clip, but I'm not doing that because holding it as I sew is enough. This cotton fabric kind of just holds itself together. Now, I had intended to go get a clock or a timer because I don't know how long 10 minutes is. I don't have a clock in my shop except what's on my phone. I think a lot of people are that way nowadays. I could have worn a watch, but I didn't. Oh my goodness, y'all, look. Before too long, I will be able to sew my 2 long pieces together. I'll see how much longer this takes, and I may do that. The one I sewed, the long strip that I sewed together on day 1, I'll see how much longer it takes me on sewing this stack of blocks together, and maybe we'll sew both strips. We will see. There are some projects that it's very, very important to think through and plan it. But this is a project that I'm going against every grain of my being and just getting the project done. Because when it's all said and done, it's going to be a kaleidoscope of happy color. And it will bring me so much joy. And if my little grandsons, I call them grand miracles, want to get down on the floor and make a tent out of it or have a picnic on it in the yard, well, that will be just fine. Just fine. So this piece of fabric is extra narrow, and when I sewed in a straight line, some of that did not catch. You see the gray, how it's not as wide as the pink part. So I need to sew another seam right here so that that gray part for sure catches in the seam. Let's see, it looks like we've got 2 more here, and then this strip is complete. And here's the last one in this stack. I think I'm probably getting close to 10 minutes, but I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and sew these 2 strips together, the one I made on day 1 and this strip on day 2. And then we'll have a really large piece connected. I can tell that the fabric in this quilt spans probably several decades. These fabric pieces look like they could be from the 40s or 50s. They may be feed sack fabric. These look like they could be from the 80s, the way they feel. The way this one is printed and the way it feels. Okay, look y'all. Here's a big long strip. Now, to finish out today, and I don't know where it relates to our 10 minutes, but I'm going to sew this strip that I made on day 1 to this strip that I made on day 2. And when I have this all together, I will show you how it looks. But right now, I'm just so anxious to see how many days it takes to sew the whole thing together. Now, I am going to put a pin right here just to hold this start, so that when I lay it under my presser foot, it's long enough. I'm gonna, where the pin is, I'm gonna set the presser foot down on that right there, and then I will line this up as I sew. So I'm gonna put it under the presser foot. I'm gonna back stitch. Now, I'm just making my seam the width of one side of my presser foot, because that's about the width of whoever was making this. That's about the width of their hand stitches, that they were making their seams about that width. Oh my goodness, y'all, this is so fun. So fun. Here we go. These edges aren't perfect. They aren't, but I'm just trying to keep my seam going as straight as I can. Remember, don't overthink it. Honestly, it feels great to not be overthinking this. It feels great just to be getting this project done. When our daughter was in 6th grade, she had a lot of stuff due for several classes at the end of the semester, and she really felt overwhelmed. But she just stayed at it, and when she was finished, she said, "I feel so accomplished." And I think that's exactly how I'm going to feel when this is done. So accomplished. This strip is probably about 2.5 yards long, would be my guess. Well, however long a queen size quilt would be. That's about how long it is. Okie dokie, here we are. Here we are. Oh my goodness, look you guys. Look. Okay, here's 2 strips all sewn together. Isn't that a happy kaleidoscope? So it may have taken more than 10 minutes, but I'm happy with what I have done. I'll see you next time.